All right, so number 1 says to draw 2 circles with 4 common tangents and label which are internally tangent and externally tangent. So we're going to start off with 2 circles. Doesn't matter what size they are. We're going to keep them separated. And so let's draw an external tangent. That would look something like this. It intersects my smaller circle at this point and my larger circle at this point. And this is an external tangent because it is on the outside of the 2 circles. Well, if we can draw an external tangent on the top of the 2 circles, then we certainly can do the same thing on the bottom of the 2 circles. So that would look something like this, where it intersects my smaller circle here, my larger circle here. It's on the outside of the 2 circles, or I should say on the outside of the whole diagram. So that's an external tangent. Now I can't draw one this way or this way because it would just only intersect one of my circles. So now we're going to do the internal tangents, which go in between your 2 circles. So something like this, and let me readjust that line. Something like this would be an internal tangent. It goes in between the 2 circles and it touches the 2 circles in exactly one place. So that's an internal tangent because it goes in between the 2 circles. And if I can draw one this way, I can certainly draw one the other way, going like this. And I'm going to have to adjust this line. It might be a good idea to use your ID as a straight edge, so that way you can draw your tangents and they only intersect in one place on each circle. This is another internal tangent because it intersects the 2 circles in exactly one place. So here's 4 common tangents between the 2 circles. I have 2 external and 2 internal. Moving on to the next page. So the next page says to match the following terms using the diagram. So let's look at number 1 first. It says AC. AC goes from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle, so that is a radius. So letter A would be matched with number 1. Arc DEF. So D to E to F would be here. This looks like more than half of the circle, so that is a major arc. So number 2 corresponds with letter I. Line CB. Line CB is this line here. It intersects your circle once at point C. So that is a tangent line. So 3 corresponds with letter F. Point A. Point A is the center of your circle. So that corresponds with letter G. Arc DCE. So going from D to C to E, it actually spans the diameter of the circle, so it's half of your circle, and that's called a semicircle. So 5 corresponds with letter J. Point G. Point G is just an exterior point. There's no relation to the circle whatsoever with point G. So that relates to letter H. Segment DE goes through the center of your circle and ends on the endpoints of your circle. So that is the diameter. So 7 corresponds with letter B. Arc CD is this one right here that I am highlighting in black ink. That is less than half of your circle. So that is a minor arc. Segment CD, which is this one right here, is a segment that stops and ends on the edges of your circle. That's called a chord. And then the last one, line DF, is a chord that goes past the circle, so that's actually called a secant. All right. Number 3, circles A and D have radii of 4 centimeters and 1 centimeters respectively. That word respectively means that the 4 centimeters corresponds with circle A and the 1 centimeter corresponds with circle D. So A to F would be 4 because that's the radius, and D to F would be 1 because that's the radius. And also A to B would be 4 because that's also a radius, and D to E would be 1 because that's also a radius. In addition, A to C would be 4 because that's a radius, and D to G would be 1 because that's a radius. So we want to find the missing values. We want to find BF. Well, BF, if I take BA plus AF, that gives me BF, so that's 8 units. AD, if I take AF plus FD, that gives me AD, so that's 5 units. CD, this is one that we don't have that we're going to need to find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this right triangle, and I'm going to label CD as X. And so remember, AD is 5. This right triangle is a Pythagorean triple. This is a 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triple. So X is 3. So if X is 3, that means that CD is 3. And that's what they wanted you to find. CD is 3. CG, we would just take CD, which is 3, and subtract GD from it, which is 1. So we get CG to be 2. And then it says the perimeter of triangle ACD. Well, that would be a 4 plus a 5 plus a 3, which gives you a 12. All right, moving on. So our last problem is just some diagrams. Your diagram may look a little different than mine, but it needs to have the same qualities. So we want to draw a secant line AB intersecting circle M at points A and B. So first, we know that this is circle M, so the center is called M. A secant line is a line that goes through your circle and continues on. And it intersects the circle at points A and B. So I'm going to put A here and B here. That is exactly what was described to us. Now your secant line could be going up and down instead of left to right, like how mine is. It's up to you. Now secant line MN intersects tangent line TM at circle R. So we have circle R. The common point between the secant and the tangent is point M. So the two lines are going to intersect at point M. So my secant line could look something like this. And so we have NM as my secant. Both of the points are on the circle, but it's intersecting tangent line TM. So my tangent line is going to go through point M, but then point T is going to be off the circle, an external point on the circle. And then my next one says draw diameter AB intersecting tangent line GB on circle M. So we have circle M. Diameter AB would mean that it's going through the center of your circle, so it could look like this. A diameter doesn't have to always be horizontal. It could also look like this. Let's make it look like that. So here's A and here's B. And then we have tangent line GB intersecting this diameter. So that means that the line's going to go through point B. So it looks maybe something like this. And G is the external point on that tangent line. All right, so this was just some practice with some of the vocabulary. I'll have you move on to the next video.